Welcome to Keeping Up with Our Community, a podcast for and about Romeo Community Schools. Each week, we will invite different guests to share insights about some unique aspects of our schools. This podcast is powered by the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than MIT TV. Their in-studio podcast experience allows you to record perfect audio and capture amazing video. That's all right here at the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. Contact them now via email for a free consultation and schedule a visit at mit.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. Hello, my name is Mary Ann Brush, and I'm the Communications and Marketing Supervisor for Romeo Community Schools. Today's episode will focus on physical fitness and healthy habits, and will be hosted by Mary Selden, Director of Special Services for Romeo Community Schools. Our guests today are Cody Smith, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, and Curt Rienas, Romeo High School teacher and varsity football coach. I will now turn it over to Mrs. Selden to lead the discussion.
It is my pleasure to be hosting this episode of Keeping Up with Our Community Schools podcast. After reviewing feedback in our winter 2023 climate survey, parents asked for more resources on health and wellness for their children. Our goal is to continue to create more resources on those topics and others to help students, parents, and staff in our community. As always, if you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health concern that impacts your daily life, please call your doctor. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, please dial 988 for free confidential help 24/7 or call 911 for emergency help. Okay, we are here with Curt Rienas and Cody Smith, and we're going to get started by talking about physical fitness. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, recommends that children ages 6 to 17 do 60 minutes or more of moderate to vigorous physical activity daily. Regular physical activity can help children and adolescents improve cardiorespiratory fitness, build strong bones and muscles, control weight, reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, and reduce the risk of developing health conditions such as heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, and obesity. What are some activities that children, teens, and families can do over the summer that's in the moderate to vigorous range to stay healthy?
I know a couple things that come to mind right away, and I know one is I did with my daughters when they were younger. I would let them pick which elementary school playground we were going to start at, and we would just go play. And I think most of the time you get the kids on the playground, they're going to hang from bars, which is good. And I think it's good for the parents to try doing it as well with them. Sometimes we'd even do like Simon Says or Follow the Leader. Sometimes maybe this is not acceptable during school recess, but we play like tag and just to get us moving through the play structure. And we would go through each elementary schools. We'd go into Macomb County, the different parks and stuff. And my girls even came up with a rating system for the parks and playgrounds so that it was fun, just a different change of pace. But I think with younger kids, that's really good to do. And I know I would intentionally take them, one, to get them moving, one, to give my wife some time where she didn't have any kids at the house. I do think walking is really good for the family, especially if you have a dog. I know they would appreciate it as well. One of the things that a lot of studies have come out now is walking really is one of the best forms of cardiovascular fitness for adults, just because it's low impact on the joints. If you're not familiar with rucking is a real popular thing now where you would take a weighted sack or just take a backpack, throw some books into it or a weight and put on, and you can increase the intensity of that walk. So like maybe you have a young kid and walking at their pace is not enough for you. Throw a backpack on and preferably one that straps across your chest. It might not seem like a big detail, but that does kind of help, but can add some intensity, or even finding some hilly terrain to walk up and down. I know a lot of the research says that if anybody's walked up a flight of stairs and you get to the top of that flight of stairs and you kind of like start to lose your breath a little bit, you could still talk, but it would be difficult. That's kind of the range that that would be like considered that moderate to vigorous activity. So sometimes I know people are like, well, how do I know, am I working hard enough? So you could have a conversation, but it would probably be some pauses in the talking because you're moving fast enough. And obviously anything that just you play, have fun, because I think you're going to be more consistent with it. Those are a couple of the top things that jump out to me right away.
I love that playground rating that you did. That's awesome. I know my kids right now have calluses on their hands because they're monkey bar obsessed, but they really are getting a good workout, like you said, doing flips and all kinds of things that maybe not are school appropriate, right? But when we go there after school, they love going on the monkey bars.
Yep. I know even what led even from that a little bit, and I think this is just good strategies, is like when we get home sometimes now, when we were wanting them to have some quiet work time, I would give them the question of design. Now that you've seen other playground structures, you design. If the superintendent came to you and said, design us a playground, so they would take different things, and they're using their art skills. So it was a lot of fun. It was kind of a long summer project.
Yeah, I would say I would like to reiterate some of the things Coach Rienas had mentioned. We're lucky in our community to have the Macomb Orchard Trail cut, right through the center of our community. So the walking aspect of that is, readily available. Parks and playgrounds, like Coach mentioned, there's so many different schools, elementary schools, different parks in the community that we're fortunate to have. So just reiterate some of that. Some of the other things that we have sponsored by our district as well as our Parks and Rec, the high school offers a summer camp for strength and conditioning activity for grades 6 through 12. It's a 6-week program, runs from one school lets out in June through August 1st. It's 2 to 3 days a week, about an hour each session. So students in the upper grades of the district can take advantage of that. And then just Parks and Rec. I mean, we're fortunate to have a wide variety of offerings from Parks and Rec. I encourage our listeners to visit the Romeo Parks and Rec website for their summer brochures. I mean, they have every activity from swimming to archery to golf to soccer. All of our high school camps and clinics that we offer. So there's a wide variety of activities, organized activities they can invest in as well.
That sounds awesome. I know our kids have accessed Parks and Rec for many different activities, and there's a lot of wonderful collaboration going on between the schools and Parks and Rec. Family engagement and community engagement in physical activity means that parents, school staff, after-school providers, and community members are working together to increase opportunities for physical activity before, during, and after the school day to improve learning, development, the health of children and adolescents. School physical activity programs are more successful when family and community members are involved. Family and community engagement benefits students by improving grades and test scores, encouraging better student behavior, enhancing social skills, and increasing physical activity. What are some examples of the benefits that you have both witnessed your students and athletes achieve through physical fitness and having healthy habits?
I think just one of the overall effects is reducing stress levels. I think we've seen it gives our students the opportunity to burn off that stress to, if they're having a bad day or, need that mental break, if they're out for a run or a lift, I think that, just benefits tremendously for their mental health. Some of the other things is I think we've seen students that are physically active have been known to get better grades. Very rarely do our students that are, our athletes that take it seriously have the grade issues because they've been able to balance time schedules and they've, developed some healthy habits on, balancing their activities, their sports, and their academics. So I think that's definitely been another benefit of it. And then I think they just see their hard work pay off. So if it's, conditioning or lifting or, working on a better mile time, I think they've, see the fruits of their labor pay off. So, gives them that success and gives them that some incentive to work harder and continue with it. So, they taste the sweetness of the apple, so they want to keep going and get some more out of it. So I think that's one of the other benefits I've seen.
Yeah, I would say like some specific examples that I've seen. It's interesting. A category, I would say that my young female students who come into weight training, and usually they're the ones that are probably the most intimidated, probably are even like questioning whether they should be in here, are some of the ones that have seen the biggest improvements. I've had a dancer who her dance career came to an end because she had a knee injury and didn't think she'd ever dance again. And just the strength training through full range of motion, she ended up dancing at Michigan State, and like just radically changed her life. And there's several other examples similar to that where kids have had maybe a deficiency, their part of their body wasn't moving right. And then like even some of our special needs students, some of the movement and just the help with the cognitive ability after that has, greatly increased. And I really think for that matter, this is for the adults. There's a lot of longevity studies that have been coming out now. If anybody's familiar in that, if you look up Peter Attia, I think it's Attia, has a great book on longevity. But the two of the things that they've really shown is adding muscle mass to your body and a VO2 max, which I'll kind of touch on later, are key indicators. But I think when kids start to put a little muscle mass on too from strength training at a younger age, build some confidence and self-esteem. Our boys now have requested in the locker rooms that we have full-length mirrors so they can flex in front of them, which is kind of comical. But then you do see some kids really come out of their shell. They start to notice some physical changes. And as adults, we really need to be doing some of that strength training too. The more muscle mass we have, the healthier metabolism and less risk of injury when we fall as we get older. So.
Can you talk a little bit about more of the classes that we offer at Romeo High School for kids to be active and get in physical fitness opportunities during the school day?
Yeah, and really that's one of the great things right now with our academy model and the block scheduling is students have more options. So here's one thing that I know that parents probably don't think about. And but if you have a son or daughter who is struggling, especially in mathematics, there's been a lot of research that shows if you can have a physical education class tied with that math class, that there's going to be a higher level of achievement in that class. So we do have regular physical education class. We do have weight training, team sports. We have a baseball, softball, football techniques. We do have a couple other of those individual sports classes that don't always run. I know we're looking forward in the future of having a lifetime fitness class that I think is going to be a real popular class. But even with that, we have Coach Lee who opens our weight room before school, and that's open for anybody. So some students come in before school to get a lift. So there are several opportunities to be in a class and get your physical activity in during a day.
That's awesome. Sleep and healthy habits are vital for students to perform their best as they can in school and in athletics. For example, adequate sleep contributes to a student's overall health and well-being. Students should get the proper amount of sleep at night to help stay focused, improve concentration, and improve academic performance. Children aged 6 to 12 should have a recommended 9 to 12 hours of sleep each day. Children 13 to 18 should have a recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep each day. Families can model and encourage habits that help promote good sleep. Setting a regular bedtime and rise time, including on the weekends, is recommended for everyone, children, adolescents, and adults alike. Adolescents with parent-set bedtimes usually get more sleep than those parents that do not set bedtimes. Use dim lighting. Adolescents who are exposed to more light, such as room lighting or from electronics in the evening, are less likely to get enough sleep. Also, implement a media curfew. Technology use, such as computers, video gaming, or mobile phones, may also contribute to late bedtimes. Parents should consider banning technology after a certain time at night or removing those technologies from the bedroom at night. What other healthy habits should students and families consider to improve their wellness?
I think some of the things you mentioned are key. Shut off the Xbox and the PlayStation and put down the phone at bedtime. Take those away, lock them up, do what you have to do, because we've seen some high school kids stay on those devices from midnight, 1 a.m. and then they come into the school groggy the next day, and they definitely didn't get enough sleep. So I think that's definitely one of the key things, like you had mentioned, is getting on that sleep schedule, is getting sound quality sleep. I think it's essential for children in their development and growth. And then after the sleep is breakfast, get a healthy meal. Our district offers, free breakfasts, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, if you don't have the opportunity at home, make sure you stop in the cafeteria at school and get something to eat. And I think manage portions. So when you're out to eat or at home, make sure you're eating the food pyramid, hitting all the colors, and fruits and vegetables are included, but manage portions. It's not piled on top, and it's not quantity anymore. It's quality of what you eat. So if they're in a rush, you're not always wanting to stop and get the McDonald's and Taco Bell before a practice, and so make sure you're providing your child with adequate meals before they go into those physical activities for their sports, or whatever their schedule is for that day. So I think those are some of the key things, just quality food, portion size, and then a sleep schedule.
I know that was some good news for us that we would continue to have free breakfast and lunch for next school year. So that's something that all kids could benefit from.
Yeah, I think a couple other things that are really important is just building simple little habits that have long-lasting health, and especially if they seem effortless. And a good example of that, and I know personally I've really benefited from this, but my morning routine now is I get up, I go to the bathroom, and I go straight into the kitchen and I drink 2 big glasses of water. And I know some people will now even leave like a bottle of water next to their sink in their bathroom, but it's something I don't even think about now, and I just do it. But that hydrating your body first thing in the morning is a real big help. This is more probably for our older students and our parents, but there's a lot of research that shows that the caffeine intake, whether it's coffee or tea, if you could postpone that for an hour and a half after being awake, there's a lot of hormonal effects that will help you throughout the day. And those are kind of just, it might be tough at first, but once you become part of your habit and routine, they're fairly easy. I think of a good friend of mine who's one of our administrators in district, Roger Bennett, has some phenomenal discipline routines. He does ice baths for 3 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, just so that he does something mentally difficult early in the day. And now the rest of the day seems easy to you. Or, even getting up and doing what's my daily task list. I found a lot of our students since COVID get these like things that they have to do in their head, and they feel overwhelmed. But a lot of it is because they're just cycling over and over in their head. And if they could get them on paper, so they actually have a list, I think some of those little things like that will have big impacts over time.
I think that's huge. In previous episodes, we talked about, trying to figure out the size of the problem, what's in your control. And there's so much power into crossing things off of a list. And I think that helps people a lot. Any other tips that you can think of? Anything that you encourage your athletes to do over the summer?
I know it's kind of redundant with what we've mentioned a few times, but it's just get off the couch and stay active. I mean, you're not going to get better at any activity that you want to do, if it's football, volleyball, soccer, whatever your goal is. No one's achieved those goals by sitting on the couch playing Xbox or texting. So, you got to get up and dedicate some time. If it's early in the morning, get it out of the day, like Coach had mentioned. But I would just say make sure you dedicate and commit yourself to being active.
Yeah, I know, like even just my own personal goals that I've set, and I think they're even worth sharing just so people kind of can gauge like what is actually possible. I really want to make sure I have 2 days of strength training with free weights a week, just for bone density and long-term preventative health. I'm doing 2 days a week of Pilates with my wife, and Pilates is not necessarily my form of strength training, but I do think that community, doing it with somebody, is really important. One, you have a kind of an accountability partner. So I think regardless of what you do, having that accountability partner, and then I think the people that you love and are part of your circle, if you can find ways to maybe compromise and do things they like as well, I think there'll be a lot of benefit, from that moving forward. I personally try to get 2 days of high cardio. So like I run with our athletes in the summer when we do our conditioning test, even though it's getting to the point where I have a hard time keeping up with them. But then I'm doing the rucking myself one day a week. But then I play disc golf in a disc golf league. So I get out and walk, and we've, as a family, kind of picked up pickleball. So, that kind of gives me a good range, but for me, I have to schedule them, because if I don't schedule them, then they're not going to happen. So on Sundays, we sit down as a family and we kind of look at our calendar and find ways that we can invite each other into our physical activity. I think that's a good activity to do as a family. So you can see, what is everybody else doing? Maybe I'll do a couple of yogas with my daughter. It's not necessarily my thing, but that we can do it together.
I love that idea. Thank you for being here with us today. We are incredibly grateful to MIT and Romeo Community Schools for helping us share this information. We will have additional mental health and wellness podcasts about once per month during the school year and over the summer. Cody and Curt, thank you for being here and for sharing your knowledge.
Thanks
No
for
problem.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in this episode. Thank you, Mary, for hosting, and a special thank you to Cody and Curt for sharing such helpful tips about developing and maintaining healthy habits. And if your child is interested in participating in Unified Athletic Enhancement Strength and Movement Training, go to romeoathletics.com. And the book Mr. Rienas mentioned is called Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia. Next up, Jennifer McFarland will lead a discussion with the supervisor and mentors from Romeo Virtual Academy, who will talk about the unique aspects of our program along with the benefits of online learning. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next week to keep up with Romeo Community Schools. This podcast is powered by the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than MIT TV. Their in-studio podcast experience allows you to record perfect audio and capture amazing video. That's all right here at the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. Contact them now via email for a free consultation and schedule a visit at mit.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com.